I think the advice I have, because I'm a cloner, is I would just clone the advice Warren would give you or Charlie would give you, which is to focus on going to work for people you like, admire, and trust. And one of the things, if you unpack what Warren says about like, admire, and trust, is when he says goes to work for people that you like, admire, and trust, notice that it doesn't talk about what the comp is. It doesn't talk about what the company is, whether it's a blue chip or not, or startup or not. It's about the people. And so you have to go work for people and with people that you would truly enjoy working with if you were not getting paid. So I think that should be the criteria. The second thing, again, what Warren says is that don't put things off. In his words, he's saying that's like saving sex for old age. Not a good idea. So basically, don't say I'm going to work 3 years at Goldman Sachs, then I'm going to get my MBA, then I'm going to go do X for 3 4 years, and then I'm going to start a fund, and then this and then that. Since we have all night, Arvind, I wanted to tell you the story of this very stressed out investment banker. So there's this guy in New York who's an investment banker working like 100 hours a week, totally burnt out, just flaming out, just with this intense. And he's, of course, making a lot of money, but he is just stressed out beyond belief. So he does some research, and he finds this little tiny Mexican fishing village, which is in a very remote part of Mexico, where there is a small, like, one room resort, and no humans, just it'll be just he'd be the only guest, and there's no one around for miles. He said, that's the place for me. So he goes over and he books himself for a week at that place to recuperate from New York. And in the morning, he gets up and he notices that there's a hut just off the beach, and this Mexican guy in this hut. Have you heard this story before? No. Yeah, I know. All my stories are original. So he sees this Mexican guy in this hut, and this Mexican guy pulls out a small boat, a small little canoe, and he takes it out in the ocean. And then he's gone for like an hour, hour and a half, and he comes back with two fish. And then he makes a little fire and cooks one fish, and then has that's his lunch. Then he goes and takes a nap. Then he wakes up in the evening, cooks the second fish, and that's his dinner. And then he's just hanging out in his hut and goes to sleep. And then the next morning, the banker notices again. In the morning, the guy wakes up, takes his boat, goes out in the ocean, gets the two fish, comes back, again cooks one fish, takes the nap, second fish, and after 3 days, the banker can't take it anymore. Okay, so he goes and talks to the only human he can, which is the Mexican fisherman. And so he says that, when you go out in the ocean, could you catch more than two fish? And the Mexican fisherman says, yeah, the ocean is full of fish. I can catch a lot more fish. So he says, why don't you catch more than two fish? He says, I only need two fish. Why would I need to catch more than two fish? He says, so the banker says, look, if you catch more than two fish, then you would have some extra fish. You would only eat the two fish, but you could sell it in the market. So the fisherman says, and then what? He says, well, then you'd have some money, and as you keep getting these more fish and you get more money, what you can do is you can get a second boat and hire a guy, and he's going to go out in the boat and fish as well, and he's going to catch a bunch of fish too. And now you'll have more fish because you'll pay the guy, but you'll have some left over, and you'll have more to sell in the market. So the fisherman says, and then what? He says, then we're going to keep doing this, and of course we're going to have a fleet which is going to be bringing in this fish, but then we're going to vertically integrate. So instead of selling the fish into the market, we're going to set up a canning operation, and we're not going to let those scumbags take all the margin by doing the canning themselves. We're going to do the canning, and we're in this great part of the country. We're going to create a great brand, and we're going to have this organic fish and all this stuff, and we're going to can it, and we're going to then send it out all over the world. So the fisherman says, and then what? He said, and then I'm going to take you public. I'm your man. I can take you public. We can do an IPO, and then you're going to have lots of money and great life and such. And he says, and then what? He said, then when you want to take a vacation, you can come here and hang out. And the fisherman just looks at him that he's already there.
Story, Manish. I actually do think you've told me this story, but it, it's such a great story, Manish. I actually do think you've told me this story, but I never heard it. There's so many layers
So,
and
so
levels.
the one of the things I wanted to say with the class is, don't be like the banker, be like the fisherman. So think of life in terms of the essence of life, and the essence of life is, there are some basic fundamentals. The first essence of life is, the banker's forgotten, is life is finite. Okay, it's not infinite. The second essence of life is that, like my dad used to say, we come to this world naked and we leave this world naked. No one's taken even a pin with them. So basically, uh, whatever we get in this world is going to get recycled back in one way or another. So we don't know how long we are on earth. We don't know how we'll leave. And so the best thing you can do is not defer things into the future, but take it into the present, like the fisherman has. And so always keep the basics in mind, which is, we live in a country where no one's going to starve. And certainly none of you are going to starve. None of you are going to be homeless. None of you are ever going to have difficulty making ends meet. So once your basics are covered, it doesn't make sense to pursue careers or go to work at companies or go to work for people where you are questioning the quality of stuff, right? So if you're not high quality all the way, then you should make a change and hit the reset button and go from there. And I think that's about it.